Staying with us, let's get you some of the national updates now. Omar Abdullah has spoken to NDTV on the controversy over the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, that's the AFSPA in Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Abdullah, in fact, had said that the act, described as draconian by its critics, will be withdrawn from some parts of the state. The army, though, has opposed this, arguing that the protection the act offers is critical for it to ensure law and order in Jammu and Kashmir.
Over an announcement by you on the fact that in a few days, and you did not define these few days, but you just said in a few days there would be a partial withdrawal of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act from some areas of the state. This has triggered a kind of national debate right now. It's one that's happened many times before. I must ask you first, do you stand by the announcement you made?
Well, I announced an intention, and I stand by that intention. I didn't announce a decision, because obviously there are two areas where this has to be discussed before a final decision is taken, and then the governor is requested, because I believe the law requires that the final notification be issued by the governor. Those two bodies are the Unified Command and the State Cabinet. So I was very careful to announce an intention, not a decision. In the run-up to a final decision, both the Unified Command as well as the State Cabinet will be consulted and a suitable decision taken.
When you say that it was an intention but not a decision, does that mean that the final word has not been spoken on this issue yet?
My intentions are clear. I would very much like that the benefits of the growing peace percolate down to the people who deserve to see some advantage flowing to them from this. And I do understand that there are reservations. But, you know, if you wait for the final gun to be silenced before you start doing anything, then I think it's going to be an awful long wait. There has been, as a result of what I said, a debate triggered. I think that's a good thing. Any debate is healthy. And there are pros and cons to every position that gets taken. As I said, there are two bodies that will discuss this, and ultimately a decision will be taken. But I think it's also important to understand that what I said was not said in isolation. I have had numerous discussions at various levels, both within the state as well as with the central government leadership. So it's not as if I woke up one fine day and just decided, okay, what the hell, let me just shoot myself in the foot and shoot my mouth off, as some people would like to believe. What I said was a considered statement on the basis of some pretty long-term discussions that have been going on.
But do you, when you look at the sort of uproar that announcement has created, do you sort of feel that you should not have gone public with an intention till it was a decision?
Then the uproar would have followed after a decision. And then people would have said that, both ways I'd have lost out. Then people would have said that my decision was either dictatorial or wrong or whatever else. This way, whatever you decide, at least the public mood has been prepared for it one way or the other.
How firm is your intention? Maybe that's another way of putting it. How firm is your intention if many of the other stakeholders, primary among them the army, resists this very deeply?
Well, I'm not going to get into a debate with the army over the media. I've had discussions with the army, formal and informal. I will continue to have those discussions. Beyond that, I really don't want to get into any sort of public debate, because it'll become a he said, she said sort of scenario. Then if I say something, the army will come back at me, and it really doesn't behove both the institution of the Office of the Chief Minister or the institution of the army to get into a public slanging match with each other.
Staying with national updates, a baby in West Bengal's Murshidabad district has in fact died after acid was used instead of an antiseptic during the delivery. The hospital has ordered an inquiry, and this comes after the death of 29 kids who've died in 1 week in 2 other Bengal hospitals, but no response has come in from the state government yet. The oil minister has backed oil companies which want to raise petrol prices by nearly 2 rupees a litre. In fact, he's said that we should not overestimate the financial capacities of our own oil companies here in India. In a move to avert yet another strike, Air India has deferred training of a bunch of pilots on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner in the United Kingdom by about a month. The pilots are now being asked to return to Delhi. Also, the pilots who were to be sent to Singapore for training will not be sent hereafter. In fact, the training is being deferred to mollify pilots who are not being trained on the Dreamliner and threatening to quit. They say it will hurt their careers. In some more national news from down south, YSR Congress leader Jagan Mohan Reddy has been issued a notice by the CBI asking him to appear on the 4th of November to explain his relationship with former Karnataka Minister Gali Janardhanan Reddy with regard to the CBI probe into the illegal mining case. There is a separate CBI case against Jagan Mohan Reddy alleging that those who had been awarded contracts or licenses by the Andhra Pradesh government when YSR was Chief Minister had invested in Jagan Mohan Reddy's companies as a quid pro quo. A day after the Manipur government signed a deal with cookies for a separate district ending the blockade partially after 93 days, Home Minister P. Chidambaram held talks with Nagas in Manipur today to try and lift the appeal to them, in fact, to call off the highway blockade. Speaking to the media, he said, more development can take place only if there is peace. But now, most of the money is being spent on the army or the Assam Rifles. As Prime Minister Manmohan Singh heads for the summit at Cannes of the world's 20 most powerful economies, he has said that the Eurozone crisis is a big worry and that more needs to be done. And he's added, in fact, that developing countries must have access to funds. In some international news, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has lost his appeal against extradition to Sweden to answer sex crime allegations in a judgment. In fact, today, judges John Thomas and Duncan Owsley said that Assange, who was in court to hear the verdict, should be sent to Sweden to be questioned over the alleged rape of one woman and the molestation of another in Stockholm last year. The 40-year-old has denied any wrongdoing and insists that the case was politically motivated by those opposed to the work of his secret spilling organization. It was not immediately clear whether Assange, who has spent much of the past year under virtual house arrest at a supporter's country estate, would have the right to take his appeal to Britain's Supreme Court. In some news from the state, in fact, back here in the city, the Confederation of Indian Industries convened a press conference today, in fact, to talk about the economic and the cultural relations between India and Italy. They said that 8% of India's GDP as well as 40% of India's export had come in from the rich sectors, that was of food production as well as pharmaceuticals, and they had lauded the scope of the small and the medium companies here in Chennai as well. In some political developments from the state, the Manidhanaya Makkal Katchi today also held a press conference in the city today. In fact, they drew the factor about the AIADMK alliance's role while they were given just 2 berths, in fact 2 seats in the polls that had gone by, and said that they had not been given enough respect considering that they were allies this time around. But further on, they did in fact go on to talk about the Election Commission's role in the by-polls gone by and had condemned that there was no proper action taken in this time's polls as well.
அதிமுகவுடன் நாங்கள் கூட்டணி அமைத்தது சட்டப்பேரவை தேர்தலுக்காக வேண்டி. சட்டப்பேரவை தேர்தலில் அதிமுக கூட்டணியிலே இடம்பெற்று 3 தொகுதிகளிலே போட்டியிட்டு மனிதநேய மக்கள் கட்சி 2 இடங்களிலே வெற்றி பெற்றதோடு மட்டுமல்லாமல் மிகப்பெரிய அளவிலே அதிமுக கூட்டணி வெற்றி பெறுவதற்கு மனிதநேய மக்கள் கட்சி ஒரு முக்கியமான காரணமாக இருந்தது. ஒரு ஆட்சி மாற்றத்தை கொண்டு வர வேண்டும் என்பதற்காக வேண்டி அந்த ஒரு கூட்டணி அமைத்தோம். உள்ளாட்சி தேர்தலில் தனியாக எல்லோரும் போட்டியிட்டார்கள், அதே போல நாங்களும் போட்டியிட்டோம். இந்த ஆட்சி செய்யக்கூடிய நல்ல விஷயங்களை பாராட்டுவோம். இந்த ஆட்சி மக்களுக்கு விரோதமாக செய்யக்கூடிய நேரத்தில் அதையும் சுட்டிக்காட்டி அந்த குறைகளை களைவதற்கான முயற்சிகளையும் நாங்கள் மேற்கொள்வோம்.
Up ahead on the news tonight, Chennai's squash sensation shows her Egyptian opponent who's the boss in the quarters of the World Open. More in just a bit.